Alright, this is another cover-up video over my uncle, Ted R. Schmidt, that happened on 9/3 of 99. I kind of want to discuss the Florida definition of an accidental death. And it's a Florida state law as well. It's in there as well. It says, accident refers to a death resulting from unusual event that was anticipated by everyone involved. It should not be intended, expected, or foreseeable. One of the things I kind of want to point out right here, I am reading off my little notebook here because as you can see, I'm not at my home because of current situations. I have not been able to go back up there. The one thing I want to throw in here is, if it was an accidental death, then why did my uncle end up having a broken, I forget what kind of bone, it's a small bone within like the neck and shoulder areas, and as many stab wounds as the coroner's report said that was on his body. Another thing is, on some of the dates and times, for example, this, give me just a moment. I have a name on here. Brad Gold was the name, I believe. Badge number 482. He was a detective sergeant that was on the list. He said his respondent time was at 9:36, and he signed the signature sheet at 9:45. That was a 9-minute response time. And in his statement, he also says that he was the very first one arrived. But he also says within his statement on the very next page as well that the EMS was already working on him. So he already lied in his statement. And every statement that was given, I'm just going to throw it out there. Everyone was at the crime scene, rehearsed their statements, because every single one of the statements are either very identical or the same. There's not really one that's in there that was not even different, except for the ones that came from my mother and my uncle and my aunt. I mean, this is ridiculous. And on top of that, Dr. Ferguson signed the sheet at 1 a.m. on the 4th. Okay, now they had already, in one of the statements, said that the body was pronounced dead after the arrival of the EMS. But while looking at the date and the time on the examining coroner's report that Dr. Ferguson had made at the scene, was done at 7 a.m. on the 4th as well. And of course, the lead investigator was Koval, but the date of death, the time of death, was on Friday, September 3rd of 1999, and they said that he was pronounced dead at 9:30 p.m. Okay, and that's a little upsetting to me that no one bothered when they arrived to the scene to start any kind of paperwork whatsoever. They waited until a few hours or a couple hours later, after everything was already said and done, to make these reports, and then just threw on some dates and some numbers on sorry for my language, on this paper that just, it really irks me that even our own law enforcement is crooked. I'm not saying that all law enforcement are bad. There's a lot of good law enforcement in our world, but it's those who are just as crooked. And thanks to the Masons that Otis McMullen is involved with, because I'm pretty sure they had a pretty dime thrown in here because of this. I mean, how much longer are these people going to be able to walk free? I mean, this man killed and shot somebody, did 10 years for it, and still got to walk out for free. And if it was a stabbing, a multiple stab wound, even after the truth came out and the coroner's report showed how much damage was done to my uncle, that Miss Fox now was just like, all right, moving on. Next case. Oh, okay. That's also an accidental death. I mean, it just kept going. How many cases that this woman and these people actually was involved in that just got swept under the rug? Some of these people, such as my family, even though I was really young and not knowing what's going on during the time, but knowing how, with my age and what I know now and what I've gone to school with and looked into and seeing everything that has happened in the last couple of years with everything, it's rotten. It's almost like you're living in a sewer, except the sewer rats is everyone. Everyone that was involved in these cases that has hurt these families, that just got swept under the rugs and made the families feel bad and suffer even worse than what they already had to, losing their family member, whether it's their son, their husband, their daughter, or their aunt, their cousin. I mean, it hurts. I mean, I'm pretty sure if Otis McMullen got his life taken after, let me back up a little bit. I'm pretty sure that if Otis McMullen was Ted Schmidt and in his shoes, fearing for his life, because knowing that Tammy and Rhodes, Gene Rhodes, Tammy Smeltzer and Gene Rhodes, both knew that they were taking Ted Schmidt to their last dinner, to his very last meal, just so he could be killed. And the only reason is because they used steak knives. And I'm sorry, but my uncle was not no steak eater. He was a fish eater. He was a fish eater. He loved fish. He would choose fish more than he would choose a piece of steak. But they had to have a reason to have a knife, a serrated knife. Yeah, they made sure the reason was right there for them just to stab, slice. But who cares about that, right? They just decided to sweep it up, pay it, tell the family to shut up because they didn't have the money to pay for it. Well, guess what? If we were back in the day, we would have taken care of the problems our own selves. We wouldn't need the law. The law ain't necessarily there for us. They're just there for the money and the greed. Except for the ones that were actually true. That actually have the purpose to serve what is needed to be served and have the heart in the right place and their mind in the right place instead of on the dime and the paper and thinking about the lives, because guess what? That could have been your children. That could have been your family member in that same exact position, and knowing that they dragged him out of that house and knowing they killed him in cold blood in a full Nelson chokehold, which is the reason why his bone got broke. And I'm sorry, but not no steak knife is going to slice open a freaking foot on his heel. His heel had a flab skin off of his foot on his heel. Which means there was more than just a steak knife involved. Not no cheap dollar store plastic handled knife that just breaks off the handle. I mean, come on, people. Do you guys not have no hearts? It's almost like playing Kingdom Hearts. You're heartless. That's what the enemies are in that game of Kingdom Hearts. Is called heartless. They're dark, colded people that they allowed their hearts, instead of seeing the true and the good light, that they allowed the hatred and the darkness take over your heart to become a nobody. Heartless. Because you are heartless. You don't have a heart. If you say you have a heart and you were involved in this case, no, that's a lie. Your heart is as cold as stone. 60,000 feet under the ground. Turned over in their grave. That's how cold your heart is. God bless.